You're listening to Cancer Convos with Brady and Stacy.
Hey there, welcome to another edition of Cancer Convos, sponsored by Chelsey Smith Cosmetics in the Bismarck Cancer Center. I'm Bob Brady.
I'm Stacy Sturm.
Hey, I got new headphones, and now this thing hangs from my neck.
I see that. It was like, it almost looked like a weird medical device. That's where my head's at.
That's what it is. Yes, it's a weird
I
medical
was
device.
like,
So I'm ready to change. Anyway,
I was like, yeah.
let's go with the show. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Sorry. So we have a special guest on today. We have a friend of mine from Chelsey Smith's wig group. Karen is here to share her story about her cancer. So welcome to Cancer Convos,
Welcome, Karen.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
So tell us your story. What do you have? What happened? You know, in a nutshell.
Symptoms, how you got diagnosed, all that good stuff.
So in a nutshell, not this Christmas that just passed, the Christmas before, I was had all sorts of pain in my neck. Really no other symptoms, just in my left side of my neck and in the front of my throat. So when I would swallow quite a bit, it hurt a lot. So I started going to the doctor, just checking up with my regular doctor, had been pushing. He thought it was just something like some sort of reactive lymph nodes. It didn't fit because every time I took the steroids that they would give, I'd feel better for 2 weeks and then it would come right back and I would repeat the whole cycle over. So I pushed a little bit further and I got pushed to an ENT. And the ENT doctor told me that I had reflux. Now, I have a 15-year-old. I have had reflux since that 15-year-old was in my belly. So that's nothing new. And it was totally fine. But they switched my medicines. They said that's what the problem was. It still didn't make sense to me that I would have this pain in the side of my throat, almost going up into my ear. So after I got a couple different scopes from that doctor, and I finally just pushed because I was tired. The whole time I kind of felt like it was a situation that this could be a much bigger concern and cancerous. Just Googling, I know you're not supposed to do that, but that's what I did.
Yeah, whenever you Google, it's going to tell you cancer. It's always going to be cancer on Google.
It's like
or
shaking the
WebMD.
magic 8-ball. All signs point to yes.
Yeah.
That's what it is. I need the Google Magic 8-ball. But
Yeah.
so I did. I pushed him, and he ordered 2 tests for me. Just to give you a time frame, that wasn't until September of last year. So
Wow.
I spent 9 months with this pain, fighting and trying to get somebody to listen to me and not tell me I was crazy. And lo and behold, I had the test one morning. Went in the afternoon. I was working, so I was busy. I wasn't paying attention totally. But you know how my charts always pops up and says, "Hey, you got a test."
Yeah. Yes.
My chart popped up and said I had a test result, and it came back and said that I had, at the time, they thought it was a thymoma. It turns out that it was not that, but that I did not get that diagnosis until later on. So they told me I had basically 2 tumors in my neck, and one they thought was just thymoma, the other they thought was a lymphoma. The only way to confirm what it was to go in and have a sternotomy. So they cut down through my chest and they removed my entire thymus. So there's that surgery to heal from, and that's not a quick one.
Yeah.
To do. And they took a piece of the one from my neck. That one they could not get to because it was wrapped around the vein. It would have taken like excessive cardiac measures essentially to remove that tumor.
Yeah.
So I will say my cancer doctor at the time, the thoracic surgeon that took care of me, was pretty amazing. They froze in the middle of the procedure. They froze everything. They froze a sample. They sent it to their pathology and said, check it. Tell us what we're dealing with. So we know, do we have to go to these heroic measures? Do we have to try to give this poor woman a bypass so she wakes up and it's even bigger than we thought? But
right.
They were wonderful. They indeed came back. They said both of the tumors were lymphomas. And even if they removed it, it didn't cure me of cancer. essentially, because it's a blood cancer.
Oh,
So at that point, they sewed me back up, and I spent 2 months healing from that, and started chemo in it's right after Thanksgiving last year. So I am now, I have 3 treatments left. I'm getting towards the end. I'm going to be ringing that bell soon. Everything's looking good. Chemo is a doozy. I think, cancer, the only thing that ever hurt was my neck. Like, I can deal with some neck pain, and I did, obviously, for a long time. Chemo is harder. I think it was very naive at the beginning, thinking people put the best face forward, right? So,
Yeah.
you talk to somebody that has chemo, and they say, "Oh, I'm doing good. I feel good. Everything's good."
Well, that's the default answer. I feel like
Mhm.
you just because you don't want to get into it, and I don't think people honestly want to hear it. If I'm standing in line at the grocery store and they're like, "Oh, how are you feeling?" I don't want to. I don't think they want to
well,
get into me
yeah,
throwing up all morning and all that
yeah.
good stuff. So yeah,
So yeah, once I started keeping, I'm very lucky. I don't have the throwing up part of it. I have the other. Everything freezes with it, but that's okay. But I think it's just the exhaustion and pushing through, and yeah, that's kind of my nutshell story. So
So what are your thoughts that it took so long for them to find something and get it down? Like, what is it frustrating? It's got to be frustrating. I mean, it's a dumb question. It's frustrating.
it is so frustrating. I am still angry to this day. I will tell you, I've never spoken to that doctor that did order the test, because he told me he was so forceful in the fact that I was wrong, that this
yeah.
couldn't possibly be cancer. And when I finally did prove it, the test result comes back, and I call them up, and they didn't respond to me. So even at that point, I'm just very angry at that. But anger I have to let go, because that's
Yeah,
not going to serve me. But
still sucks.
it
Yeah,
sucks.
when you think about how long you had cancer in your body, like, would it have been easier, would have been a different outcome if they'd caught it several months earlier, when you really wanted them to catch it?
Would I have not had a second tumor? That's what I wonder, because
Yeah.
I remember when I know when my throat started to hurt, and then I know when it got worse. Like, I remember those months where it was just increasingly difficult. But what
I
can you do?
was no, yeah, yeah, I was just telling Heather yesterday, my wife, is that our medical system is just
Hmm.
I don't want to say it's just antiquated. It's just old, right? And I always say this on every cancer convos: medicine's a practice, and they're practicing on you. And Karen, what works on you might not work on Stacy. It works on me, whatever it is.
Yep.
But gosh darn it, if we go in there and say, "Hey, we don't feel good," give me the scan, give me a CT scan, give me a PET scan, give me something
Yeah.
that shows you whether I'm right or wrong. And then once that happens, don't be a jerk and not, you know what I mean? It's just it's enough to go through all the other BS to have that happen.
Well, and like you said, Karen, you know your body. The fact that they treat you like you're overreacting, like you haven't lived in your body for the last how many decades, it's ridiculous. Yeah.
No, I think now I'm very keen to tell people to kind of fight for themselves, because I get it. I understand we don't have enough doctors in the world anyway, or in the US, or anywhere. And they're busy. They've got 15 minutes to kind of
Yeah.
come up with an answer, and tell you, what is this, or at least point you in the right direction. I fault them, and I don't fault them. So I guess that's the way I put that. But it's my job now to make sure that this never happens for me, it never happens for my family, and to speak up. And when my kids are sick, I don't wait anymore. Like, if they're telling me something's wrong, I'm going to listen to them
Yeah.
and do everything I can. And I hope that just my story and my experience, other people will do the same thing, that they'll realize they're not crazy. It's just, like you said, Stacey, what you're feeling. Speak up, and take care of it.
That's the bad
Yeah.
part. You had to have a bad situation to realize that now you have to go to a doctor or whatever and say, "Hey, there's something wrong. I'll go to another one or a third one or whatever it is just to get it fixed," which sucks, you know.
Yeah. So, what if you have advice for people, Karen? What kind of advice would you give people that are currently going through cancer treatments? What helped you?
oh, my support system, honestly, and it makes me teary just to think of them. I had, you know, the phrase, I'd rather have 4 quarters than 100 pennies. I have 4 quarters that I just adore, and they showed up after surgery and they let me cry. They let me walk through every crazy emotion, because I think that was for me, like I can take your pain, I can take whatever is thrown at me. Emotionally though, I was not prepared for everything that I had to go through emotionally. I didn't even recognize cancer as trauma, to tell you the truth. It took a therapist who finally was like, "You realize this is a trauma situation." I'm like, nothing really happened to me, I just got sick, whatever.
Right.
But what helped me was the fact that I had my family and my friends that showed up, and they just let me walk through every emotion that there was that I've ever had, even to this day. This tears coming.
Aw. I think you're right. People don't understand that when you have a long-term illness like cancer, the amount of trauma that you go through, you push it down because your health is the number one concern, your physical health, not your mental health. And then that does catch up to you later. And when you do get time to reflect on it, it is kind of overwhelming to people.
Yeah.
Well, because you want to keep
Yeah.
going, right? You don't want to stop, because if you feel
No,
you
you don't want
stop,
to
you're gonna,
stop and think
yeah,
about it. I don't want to
yeah.
think about it.
No, I blocked that out pretty hard for a long time, till I realized that that was a key piece. If I was going to get better fully, that I had to kind of look at all of it and understand where I was in this process. So it took me a bit, but I'm there. I'm getting there. No.
Good. What's coming up for you? What do you have left? And as I said, you're almost done, but what do you have?
I just have 3 more chemo treatments left. I'm down to AVD, so I was doing ABVD for Hodgkin's lymphoma. So I just have I got rid of that B, which didn't like that one anyway. So I'm glad to say bye to him. And then have a few friends, that tight little circle, going to show up, and they're going to watch me ring the bell. And everything the doctor says at this point says it's looking good. Of course, you don't know till the end and you get those
Yeah.
test results, but I am just going to keep being positive and seeing light, and get to the end.
Well, good luck to you, Karen. You look fabulous. I love the wig. Who are you wearing today?
I
Do you
did not.
remember this one?
I did not. And I should remember it. I'll have to look it up. I'm so sorry.
You brought up a good point before we started recording. You're like, the wigs help because you feel like powder, like the,
Yes.
the movie character
Oh
powder
yeah.
with no eyebrows, no hair. And
Yeah,
I'm
no, you can see
totally
I'm
there.
a pale gal, but I love the hair, and thank goodness. And it was actually through the support group. It was a Facebook support group that
Yeah.
somebody was talking about Chelsea's Crowd. I'm like, oh, this is exactly what I need. Because to tell you the truth, I ordered probably about 20 different wigs previous to this,
Mm-hmm.
and I returned everything. Nothing worked. I just was so unhappy. And then I tried this one, and I'm like, I actually look almost like I remember. So
Good.
Yeah.
makes me
Yeah.
feel.
That's the plan.
That's awesome. That's
Oh, well,
right.
Karen,
That's
thank
the
you for
goal.
joining us today. We do appreciate it. Good luck with everything,
Thank
and keep being positive, right? Like, just keep working. You're gonna do it.
you.
That's
Thank
Cancer Convos today, sponsored by our friends at Chelsey Smith Cosmetics and the Bismarck Cancer Center. Have a great day.